Good morning. Welcome to today's special Gotan-E service, which is the celebration of the birth of Shinran Shonin. Today we are very lucky to have a guest speaker, but before we get to that, we're going to chant Sambujo, which can be found on page 22 in your purple book. And then Reverend Cindy will also do the Hyobyakumon as well. So again, Sambujo, page 22.
Can I ask everyone to please put your palms together in gasho, bow your head in contemplation and respect. As we say together, Namo Amida Butsu, I take refuge in Amida Buddha. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Anna, Namo Anna, Namo Anna. We are gathered here at the White River Buddhist Temple to celebrate the birthday of our founder, Shinran Shonin, who was born on May 21st, 1173, in the village of Hino near Kyoto. At the age of 9, he entered the priesthood at Mount Hiei and studied there until the age of 29. Upon leaving Mount Hiei in search of the Bodhi, he encountered the Nembutsu teaching of Honen Shonin in Kyoto. Thereafter, Shinran Shonin shared the Nembutsu teachings of the primal vow of Amida Buddha to all people. It is due to the birth of the Shonin that we are able to receive the teaching that enables us to transcend the realm of birth and death. As fellow friends and followers in the Buddha Dharma, we vow to walk the great way of indebtedness and gratitude.
We will now chant our sutra chanting, Nembutsu Wasan, which can be found on page 44, in the middle of page 44 in the purple service book.
Nam Can I ask everyone to please once more put your palms together in gasho, bow your head in contemplation and respect. As we say once more, Namo Amida Butsu, I take refuge in Amida Buddha. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Nox, Namo Nox, Namo Nox.
We will now have Oshoko by temple representatives, the Adult Buddhist Association. The Buddhist Women's Association. And the Temple Board of Trustees. Thank you. If you will please rise, if you are able, for the three treasures, which is found on page 3 of the Purple Book. Fortunate is it to be born into human life. Now we are living it. Rare is it to encounter the teachings of the Buddha. Now we hear it. If we do not seek the truth in the Dharma in this life, in what life shall we find it? Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in Buddha. May we all together absorb into ourselves the principle of the way to enlightenment and awaken within us our highest aspiration. I take refuge in Dharma. May we all together be submerged in the depth of the Dharma and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in Sangha. May we all together become units in true accord and a life of harmony in the spirit of universal brotherhood, freed from the bondage of selfishness. Even through ages of myriad of kalpas, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful teaching. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let's thoroughly understand the true meaning of Tathagata's teaching. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda, Namanda. All right. At this time, we will have a gatha, Shuso Gotan-E, by our very own Shirakawa strummers. You can stay standing if you like. And the song is actually found on page 169 in your Purple Book as well. Sit, stand, whatever you want. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you, Shirakawa Strummers. You may be seated. And now we will have an introduction of our guest speaker with Reverend Cindy.
Hello, everyone. First off, I wanted to thank the Shirakawa Strummers for doing the song Shuso Gotan-E. Just letting you know, it is in Japanese. I know people here do not understand Japanese, but there is a translation on page 170. So please feel free to look at it so that you know what you sang. Because, again, words mean something. And it would be nice to know what you sang. And you're not pledging anything, okay? It is an honor to introduce our guest speaker today. Our guest speaker, Reverend Koe Umezu, who, as we talked about yesterday, Reverend Koe and I went through ordination together, Tokoro ordination, the very first level, and we did Kyoshi certification as well together. So we've known each other for quite a while. Even before then, we were students of Reverend John Iwahara and other ministers that shall not be named, maybe. So Reverend Koe and I go back. She also goes a little further back with my husband, Reverend Tadao Koyama. So she is a very, very close friend to our family. And so I'm very, very happy to introduce the White River family to Reverend Koe today. So Reverend Koe Umezu, she, her, was born in Los Angeles and raised in the San Francisco East Bay area, currently residing in Torrance, California. She attended UC Davis and double majored in studio art and communications. Her full-time weekday job is a freelance storyboard artist for film and television. Her credits include projects such as Jurassic World, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, and the upcoming live-action Moana. Reverend Koe received her Tokoro ordination in the Jodo Shinshu Hongan Jiha tradition in 2019, and her Kyoshi certification in 2022. She graduated the Institute of Buddhist Studies in May 2023 with a Master's of Arts in Buddhist Studies. Since 2020, she has been serving as a part-time assistant minister at the West Los Angeles Buddhist Temple under Reverend Koho Takata. In her spare time, Reverend Koe enjoys reading comic books, drawing, painting, and watching reruns of Law and Order, Seinfeld, The Golden Girls, and Family Ties. Her favorite superhero is Superman. So as we welcome Reverend Koe today, please remember that she appreciates no clapping. Instead, please put your palms together in appreciation to this Dharma that she is going to be sharing with us today. So Reverend Koe, お願いします。
Good morning, everyone. I invite you to please put your hands together in reverence, Gassho, as I read a passage written by the founder of our school, Venerable Shinran. The first aspect of deep entrusting is to conclusively, deeply believe that one is currently an unenlightened, ordinary being in the realm of birth and death who commits transgressions and evils and who has been drowning for innumerable kalpa, continuously cycling through samsara without any conditions present that permit liberation from these circumstances. The second aspect of deep entrusting is to conclusively and deeply entrust in Amida's Buddha's 48 vows, which, in taking in the multitudes of beings, allows them to ride on the vessel of the vow power without doubt and fear, so that they may assuredly attain birth in the Pure Land. Namandauts, 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 namandauts. Once again, good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Good. It was kind of hot this morning, huh? It was more hot than I thought. Well, I'm very humbled to be here with you today, and I would like to thank Reverend Yasaki for inviting me to be here to share the Nembutsu with you today. As Reverend Yasaki mentioned, we do go back a ways, and during our, I don't know how many years of training, we would every Saturday go to Gardena and chant Shoshinge together and practice. So it was very nice to be able to chant Wasan, Nembutsu Wasan with not just Reverend Cindy today, but all of you here today. It was very nostalgic feeling to be able to do that today. So today, as has been mentioned, we are here in observance of, I guess we could call it a holiday called Gotan-E. Gotan-E. And Gotan-E is a Japanese word that is used to describe the services that we hold for the birth or the appearance of a Buddha or Bodhisattva or someone special coming into this world. So Gotan is the word that means birth or appearance of a Buddha or Bodhisattva, and E means gathering. So Gotan-E is a Japanese Buddhist observance in which schools observe the birthdays of the founders of their sect. In Buddhism, in general, it is a very important tradition to treat not only Buddha, but the special individuals who have shown us the essence of the Buddha path with the utmost respect. And so for those of us on this other power Nembutsu path, in this Honganji school, we practice showing this respect to Venerable Shinran, who is the founder of Jodo Shinshu. He's on the scroll here. I had to make sure that you had the scroll. Okay, I didn't check before. So in Buddhism, the way we are taught to show respect for Buddha and the great sages who have shared the Buddha Dharma with us is to deeply listen to it for ourselves and reflect on what we hear and do our best to live in accord with its truth. And so I hope we can all be gathered here today with this intent. So again, thank you very much to everyone for being here today for this very special occasion. The passage that I shared at the top of my message, as I mentioned, was written by Venerable Shinran, and it can be found in his main text that he wrote called A Collection of Passages Revealing the True and Real Teaching, Practice, and Enlightenment of the Pure Land Way. In English, it's a long title, it's a mouthful. In Japanese, it's abbreviated to Kyogyo Shinsho. Kyogyo Shinsho. So some of you may have heard of that. In this passage, Venerable Shinran, through quoting Master Shandao of China, is clarifying a very, very important aspect of Jodo Shinshu, which is what it means to entrust in Amida's vow. Now, this practice or this aspect of entrusting in the Buddha Dharma is not unique to Shinshu, as it can be found in all different schools of Buddhism as a whole, but the emphasis of entrusting in the 18th vow of Amida is a very unique and central aspect of this tradition. Therefore, we are urged by the masters to understand what it means to entrust and why it is important for us to know what it is and experience it for ourselves. So Master Shandao clarified that there are two aspects to entrusting, two aspects. The first is to realize in our own hearts and come to know without any doubt what kind of person I am, and be honest with ourselves about how this self relates to the world of hardship that I dwell in. The second aspect is to realize in our hearts and to have no doubt that Amida's vow exists for the benefit of all beings who are suffering from hardship in this world, and that riding on the vehicle of Namo Amida Butsu will definitely bring all of us, or bring me, to nirvana. The second aspect of entrusting may feel comforting because it affirms us and assures us that we are being thought of and cared for and taken care of, just as we are. We will definitely reach nirvana. The first aspect, however, being reminded that, quote, I am an unenlightened ordinary being in the realm of birth and death who commits transgressions and evils and who has been drowning it for innumerable kalpa, continuously cycling through samsara without any conditions present that permit liberation from these circumstances, that might not sit too well with us. Because I think, generally speaking, we do not like being confronted with so-called negative aspects about ourselves or told in any way how we might be negative. But these two aspects come as an inseparable set, and both are equally important to acknowledge. Why is this? Because to come to know both of these two aspects in our hearts is to come to hear the heart of Amida Buddha. That is, it means to come to know why Amida established the vow in the first place and how the vow came to be fulfilled. Why is hearing the heart or the essence of Amida's vow important? Because, as you may know and as I've mentioned, to hear, listen, and reflect on the heart of Amida is what Venerable Shinran taught about how we are meant to engage with this practice of the calling name of Namo Amida Butsu. Why is it calling out to us? Today, I would like to share a story with you to illustrate my appreciation of why it was necessary for Amida to establish this vow and what it means for Amida to be Amida, becoming the Buddha of immeasurable wisdom and boundless compassion for all of our sakes. Recently, at West Los Angeles Buddhist Temple, where I serve, we have started a new program called Dharma Cafe. And Dharma Cafe is this, it's basically our after-service Sunday social, but when the weather is nice, we set up tables out in our garden outside in front of the temple, and we have our donuts and coffee out there, and anyone who happens to be walking down the street and wants to join us is welcome to join us and come learn about the temple, or we can show them around inside the temple. And so before I continue, I must explain the neighborhood culture of where West LA is located. Has anybody been to West Los Angeles Buddhist Temple, Santa Monica area? No? That's okay. So for decades, a long time ago, it was a modest, predominantly Japanese American neighborhood community. And just like any other community over time, demographics change. Right? Can I say it's become gentrified? Right? And so the temple is 1 block west of this main drag called Sawtell Boulevard. And Sawtell is where many of the local Japanese Americans once had all their local businesses, their local, the Japanese American owned grocery stores, hardware shops, nurseries, etc. But, as the generation who owned those stores got older, of course, they sold their stores or the property and whatnot. And so over the last 20 years or so, a lot of different types of shops have opened, a lot of very trendy Asian restaurants and cute shops like Tokyo Outlet and Nijia, like, bigger chain things have come in. But because of this, it has become very popular amongst younger people and people just coming from all over LA to enjoy these trendy restaurants and shops. And they developed all these new shops, right? These trendy shops, but what they didn't develop was parking. So what ended up happening was people would come from far away. And of course, there were some small parking lots, but if you weren't fortunate enough to get spots there, people would come into the neighborhoods and start parking their cars. And that annoyed the neighbors. So the residents began to complain that their, once quiet streets became very busy. And so they petitioned their neighborhood council, their city council, to make the neighborhoods permit-only parking. Do you guys have this here? Permit-only parking? Yeah. So the area around the temple has their own parking lot, but the neighborhood area around the temple has become permit-only parking. And I don't know if anybody's I don't know if Seattle's like this, but LA is notorious for having the most confusing parking signs. You need a permit if it's, all the time. You can park here all the time if you have a permit, but if it's between 8 and 5 on this day, you can't park, and, all these things. So there's like 4 signs in a row, unless you know how to read them, you don't know. So that's what the neighborhood around the temple became, that kind of permit parking. And basically all around the temple is that permit parking, except for 2 spots right in front of the temple. I'm not sure why, but that's how it is. So jumping back to Dharma Cafe. So one day at Dharma Cafe, there were several of us sitting around the table, and it just so happened that the parking enforcement was doing their rounds while we were sitting out there. So parking enforcement pulls up on the street, and one of the regulations of the permit parking or no parking is that there is no parking allowed on the weekends unless you have the permit. But right across, we're not going around, as temple members, we're not looking at all the cars to see if they have permit or not. But the parking enforcement, they saw all the cars across the street had no permits. So what did they do? Ticket, 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 right? All of those. Unfortunately, right after the tickets were issued and the parking enforcement just drove away, just happened, somebody came back to their car. They saw the ticket, like, what? They pulled it off their car, they looked at the ticket, they looked at the sign. They're like, no, it says we could park here, and then we were all like, should we tell them? And we said, so we kind of yelled across the street, and we said, we know the signs are confusing, but there's no parking allowed on the weekend, so you have, be careful. And they were like, oh, okay. So then they were sad, they got back in their car, and they left. So a spot opened up, so guess what? Someone else tried to come, right? And we had to say, oh, excuse me, there's no parking here, and parking enforcement's going around. They're like, okay, thanks for letting me know. Spot opened up. Guess what? Another car came, And then whoever was parked right in front of the temple also happened to leave around this time. And then so next car came. What did they do? Empty spot. They parked there. And so we said, oh, no, you can't park there. There's no parking allowed on the weekend. But you're allowed to park here. So this person, oh, okay, thank you. So they got in their car, and the street is not that big. It's a neighborhood street. But this person decided they were going to try to make a 3-point turn, right, in this street. And this person was not very good at making a 3-point turn, unfortunately. And so what happened? The temple's on a corner. So when they were making this 3-point turn, these cars were coming, there was a stop sign, and they were trying to get through, right? So then a couple cars backed up. What happened? They were honking, right? Oh, what? They don't know what's going on. Why is this person making this, turn here? And then they think they got flustered because they turned around and they didn't try to park. So they just left. And then the car that honked, right, they sped by. Few seconds later, our car turned around. That car turned around, saw that spot across the street. and they tried to park there. And we were like, wasn't that car that just honked, right? And then we were like, I think it was. And then they tried to park there, and we had to say, excuse me, there's no parking, but you can park here. So what did they do? That car that just honked at the person making three-point turn, they made a three-point turn. And what did they do while they were doing that? They got honked at, right? And this person got flustered, but they did end up parking. And I think they were flustered. They didn't do a good job parallel parking. It was kind of crooked, but then they parked and they got out and they went on their way. So I think there were more cars that came after that, but we kind of were like, what? But as I was watching all this, I was reminded of Amida Buddha's vow and what it means for Amida to be Amida and what it means for us to hear and entrust in this vow, in this name. So one of the first things that I was reminded of was the heart of compassion of Amida Buddha. So the members who were attending Dharma Cafe that day understood the parking rules, and they wanted to do their best to make sure that everyone who tried to park in the no parking zone understood the parking rules in order to save these people from anguish. To me, this was like the heart of Amida Buddha. Amida Buddha can see the full truth of reality. And so Buddha understands all the karmic laws and everything. And Buddha sees all of us, many people who are ignorant of how the world works and the truth. And so Amida wanted to figure out a way to call to all of us to make sure that we can be aware of the truth to save us from anguish. The second thing I was reminded of was about our human condition, right? Exactly what led Amida to resolve to save us. Watching all the cars that tried to park without understanding the rules. Watching the impatient car that honked at the car making the three-point turn. All of this. And then that guy or person that honked and then proceeded to do the exact same thing that he got mad about. This reminded me of the profound ignorance in which we live our own lives. We tend to live our lives getting upset with others for doing such and such behavior when it inconveniences us. And we act as if we've never done such a thing or never will do such a thing. And when we do find ourselves doing that same thing, we say, oh, it's okay when I do it, right? We find a justification. It's okay when I do it, but it wasn't okay when they did it. It's different, right? So we are constantly considering what is convenient for me or beneficial for me. We call that good. But when someone is doing something that we consider inconvenient or not beneficial, then that's when we call it bad. Even if the action is, so-called objectively the same action. We have different rules. The third aspect that I thought of, or third thing that I thought of, is what it might be like for Amida Buddha to watch all of us engage in our foolish behavior. As we sat watching car after car come and try to park in that no parking zone, and we kept having to warn car after car, and then watching the foolishness and impatience of the person who was, making the U-turn and did the same action. I thought about what the view of the drivers was from their situations. Every driver could only see the situation from their immediate limited vantage point, right? They're just trying to find parking. They didn't see the pattern that we were seeing because they were only there for that moment. And so, but those of us at the temple, we could see the bigger scenario. We could see the bigger pattern of people making the same mistake over and over and over because they didn't understand the parking rules. And I thought this must be what it's like for Amida to look at us from the vantage point of enlightenment, of wisdom, and see all of our foolish patterns repeating itself through each of us. And we don't see the big pattern because we are only looking at life from our own limited vantage point and our own capability. And so Amida, just like some of us were looking at these people like, oh, why don't they read? Well, we might have been a little bit more judgmental than Amida would be. But Amida's looking at us with, genuine care, genuine concern, genuine sadness, genuine pity that we are like this. And so it's because of this kind of foolish behavior and inability to really understand or realize what truth reality is like, and be able to see our behavior like this. This is why Amida established a vow to become wisdom and share its light with all of us. And so what I think Venerable Shinran is trying to explain to us is to be able to come to know what Amida is trying to do for us is what it means for us to be able to honestly reflect on our own foolish behavior that is based in this ignorance and three poisons, so that we can come to accept that I am the one constantly making foolish decisions that cause myself to flail in this ocean of samsara. And I'm flailing, I'm drowning in it because I don't understand wisdom. And the second aspect of hearing the name is to come to understand that Dharmakara became Amida specifically to reach out to all such beings, such as myself, in order to give us or to be a vessel in which we can rely on so that we don't drown, like a boat that we can grab onto, that will never drown, that will never sink. I mentioned earlier that in Buddhism, it's a general understanding that we are encouraged to deeply listen to the Buddha Dharma, earnestly reflect on it, and do our best to live in accord with its truth. Venerable Shinran urged people at the beginning of his text to hear and reflect on this teaching of Amida's vow without apprehension or delay. Why did he say without apprehension or delay? I think this is because, one, our lives are finite. We do not know when the opportunity for us to listen to this Dharma will end, just like how we read in the Three Treasures. And also, we are in an urgent situation right now, living in a world that is driven by greed, by unending desires, by ill will, anger, hatred, and conflict. All of us, Buddha, Venerable Shinran, all of the sages, want each of us to do our best to pull us out of this situation quickly, so we don't keep suffering in this situation. And all of us, I think, at some point may feel impatient, wondering, okay, but what can I do now? What can I do now? How can I change myself now? How can I change the world now? But I want us to be reminded of the first thing in this list, and what is of utmost importance, is to hear, to listen to the Buddha Dharma. And that is to hear or to realize that we, or more specifically I, am an unenlightened, ordinary being in the realm of birth and death who commits unwise wrongdoings and is drowning in samsara. And again, I know this can be very discomforting and very challenging to hear because we are being confronted with something we don't want to see or hear. But we should also not forget, right, because these come as a set, that when we are being urged to hear this, that's not the only thing we're being urged to hear. We're also need to remember that this teaching is coming to us out of great compassion. And it's not coming to us out of judgment or punishment, right? Like when we were telling everybody about the parking, we were not trying to judge them or punish them. We were trying to save them. That's what Amida is trying to do for us, trying to save us with wisdom, because Amida understands how much deep ignorance we have. So being comforted by that, perhaps we can then allow ourselves to pause and reflect. When we end up in a difficult situation, maybe we can think of times, well, has there been any times where I've been foolish like this? Or maybe made an unwise decision? Can I actually say that I am so wise of the universal truths that I can live perfectly? Isn't it true that I do carry 3 poisons in my heart? When we can sincerely reflect on this, then I think each of us will inevitably, naturally be able to realize how true Buddha's words are. How true it is that I am like this, and how true it is that I need wisdom and compassion to guide me and accept me as I am. Once we can know and accept these aspects of ourselves and the heart of Amida, then we can begin to live anew. We can know that we no longer have to be driven by or solely react to things out of fears, anxiety, self-centered desires, and self-centered aversions. But maybe we can come to live with an abiding joy, knowing that we are firmly established on a path that is illuminated by an unhindered light of wisdom and supported by an all-embracing, boundless compassion. And we can live with confidence, knowing that we have spiritual direction in our lives. And to be clear, this is not something that we need to earn. We only need to realize this truth that is coming to us and entrust in its working to guide us, to embrace us, and know that it is a teaching and practice that is open to all of us to continue to listen to and receive, no matter who we are, no matter where we are, and no matter what we are going through in our lives. So I hope that as all of us continue to live our daily lives and walk on this Nembutsu path, we can always be remembered that to hear the heart of Amida means to live a life that is touched by and is receiving Amida's wisdom and compassion. That helps us to remember that I am just an ordinary person, subject to committing or doing wrongdoings based on unwise, foolish decisions. And because of that, I keep finding myself in difficult situations in samsara. And with great compassion, Amida's vow embraces me just as I am and assures me that I will be brought to nirvana on this vessel of Namo Amida Butsu. So I hope that we can all continue to do our best to deeply hear and sincerely reflect on this great teaching that we are being given so that we can manifest it in our lives in such a way that we can feel that we are living authentic lives, joyful lives that is constantly, confidently being guided by Dharma wisdom instead of our own foolish ignorance. Thank you very much for allowing me to share my appreciation of Amida's vow today for this very special occasion of Venerable Shinran's birthday. And again, let's do our best to continue to hear and reflect Amida's vow so that we can have an unwavering foundation on which to live our lives each and every day. I would now, as I close my message, I would like to invite you to please once again put your hands together as I read a letter written by Master Renyo on the tradition of Venerable Shinran. What is taught in the tradition of Venerable Shinran is that the heart that entrusts in a Buddha's vow is essential. For when we abandon various practices and wholeheartedly take refuge in Amida, our birth in the Pure Land is settled by the Buddha through inconceivable vow power. The state we thus attain is described as, with awakening to a single thought of entrusting, we join those who are in the stage of the truly settled. Recitation of the Nembutsu thereafter should be understood to be the Nembutsu as an expression of thankfulness for the Tathagata's benevolence for settling our birth in the Pure Land. Humbly and respectfully. 小児一流のご関係の趣は信じのもって本当せられそうそのゆえはもろもろの造業投げ捨てて一心に皆に奇妙すれば不可思議の眼力として文の方より往生は事情せしめたもんそのくらいを一年発起入所上始終とも釈しその上の称名念仏った如来我が往生を定めたまいしごの人の念仏と心べきなりあなかしこあなかしこナモアミダ仏ナマンダ仏ナマンダナマンダ仏ナマンダナマンダ仏ナマンダナマンダ仏ナマンダThank you very much.
Thank you, Reverend Koi. I really appreciate the message, and I can personally attest that the parking on Sawtell is awful. So maybe you should do something about those signs. In any case, we're going to sing our Gatha, Ondoku-san 2, which can be found on page 153, if you could all rise, and then, if you're able, and remain standing for the reading of the Daily Creed of Jodo Shinshu, which is on page 8. If you could turn to page 8 for the Daily Creed of Jodo Shinshu and read along. Realizing enlightenment is assured in reciting the Nembutsu. I shall live my life cheerfully and positively. Understanding the oneness of life and cultivating self-reflection, I shall diligently attend to my life's tasks in gratitude. Recognizing the Dharma path, I shall help spread the teachings of the Buddha. Appreciating the Buddha Dharma, I shall respect and help others, working for the good of society. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. You may be seated. Today, we are going to be actually doing an introduction of new temple members. And if you can believe it, there are 11 of them. And this is from April 2025 to April 2026. And so when I call your name, if you can come up, do Oshoko, and then receive a Onenju and Manto Shikisho from Reverend Cindy, and then make your way right here for a photo, that would be great. So a lot of instructions, but you can do it. So we'll get started. So Mile Albright Ponce. Louise Albright Ponce. Hinako Uchida. Mike Kato. Louise Kato as well. Jill Walling. Brendan Lieber. Amanda DeHame. Susan Gay Nakamura. Mark Arema. And then Maya Ayala. Yeah. Thank you very much. And so if the new members would like to just go right to the center, Reverend Cindy, if you want to come down and take a photo with everyone, that'd be great. Okay, right to the middle if you can. And then our social media manager, Tessa Asato, will take some photos.
Actually, is it better if I just stand up here?
What's that?
Is it better if I just stand up here?
Yeah, sure.
I'm sure.
Okay. Amazing. Can we give them a round of applause? Yes. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I would like to say congratulations to the new members. Thank you so much for becoming part of our community here at White River Buddhist Temple.
Yes, thank you very much. All right, so back to our regularly scheduled programming. We are now going to welcome any guests that are here today. Would anyone like to introduce themselves or say hello to the Sangha? No pressure. Okay, no worries, all good. We'll find you later. At this time, we'll take announcements. Are there any announcements that anyone would like to make? Yeah, go ahead.
Once again, I would like to thank Reverend Koya for coming up and to thank your wife Marie as well. She's floating around somewhere. Also, one thing I forgot to point out is that I am not being disrespectful to Reverend Koe for having her sit out in the Gejin, the outer area. It is a tradition in our sect of Jodo Shinshu that the person who does the Howa, the Dharma message, actually sit outside in the outer area. And so I asked her what she would like to do, and she said, I would like to, I guess, be aware of our tradition. And so it wasn't that we didn't want her up on the altar, because again, like as she said, it really reminded me of being back at Gardena, chanting together again. And I really would have liked you on the altar too, but it is appropriate to respect her wishes. And I was not being disrespectful of her for having her sit outside. So I just wanted to let people know. No, you're doing me a favor by coming up. So thank you again, Reverend Koe. And I hope you have a nice couple of days as you tour the area and relax.
Hello. Obon will be July 25th, 4 to 9:30. And right now, I'm still organizing and trying to get things together, but pretty soon in the next upcoming weeks, you'll be starting to hear more announcements and more volunteer opportunities. So keep your ears out for that. And if you're on Facebook, we did launch a Facebook event for Obon, and Instagram, we also posted the Obon announcement. And our website is up, the www.wrbt.org/boneodori. So that has all the information. And also, if you would like to sponsor a song, please contact me at tessa.asado@gmail.com. There's lots of things to keep track of, so I'm working on it. So. Yeah.
Good morning, my name is Annika. I just wanted to provide a quick reminder that this Saturday we're going to be doing some forest bathing in Kuburo Gardens, which basically boils down to mindfulness in the park and doing a little meditative walking, lightly guided. And then if you sign up on the sign-up sheet in the back, we're going to meet here at the temple at 10 o'clock on Saturday. You can bring a sack lunch, some sandwiches, some snacks, and then afterwards we'll maybe find a place to sit in the park and eat together and talk about our self-reflective experience. So hope you can join us. Thank you.
I just want to remind people that the temple picnic is 2 weeks from today after service. There's a sign-up sheet in back if you want to bring something. Everybody's invited, friends, relatives, members, whatever. Thanks.
Good morning, everyone. Also, 2 weeks from yesterday, we have our rummage sale. On the back table there, we have collected a variety of items that people have left here. Please check the box, take your items home, because whatever's left is going in the rummage sale. And thank you for the donation if you don't want your items. So thank you. And next Sunday, if all of our temple members that have items to donate, if you could bring them next Sunday, that would be great. That'll give us a week to get organized for the rummage sale. And we do need all hands on deck, so anybody that is available to help on the 13th or the week before, I think it's from 1 to 3 almost every day, that week of rummage sale, because we will need to set all the items up and do all the pricing. So anybody that's available, if you can help, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Shar. Anyone else? Okay. Before we do the closing words, I just wanted to provide a couple of thank yous. Thank you to Judy for playing the piano. Thank you to our Shirakawa strummers for providing the music. Thank you, Reverend Koi, for being here at White River for the first time, I think is what you said.
Oh, no, I've been here before.
Oh, you've been here. Oh, your wife has never been here. Oh, yeah, White River Buddhist Temple. So welcome. We're glad that you're here. Thank you to Reverend Cindy and Reverend Sarah for doing the chanting. Thank you to Georgette for doing the con show as well. And thank you to all of you for being here today during our annual Gotan-E service. So without further ado, we're going to just do our closing words, which we do at the end here. It's on your program guide, if you can all join me. My life is not only my life, but also the life of others, sacrifices, kindness, thoughtfulness, and patience. I am grateful. Thank you, everyone, so much for being here today. Hope everyone has a good weekend. Take care.